So, progress update, old ceramic out of the car. The new BMW transmission is here. Works adapter is installed, it fits the GT350 perfectly. This is 75 foot-pound of torque. The only thing you need to be careful about is old transmission ceramic. If you pull it out, you need to like lower it in the back because like it easily gets stuck on the original shaft. And the next step is gonna be the new transmission, and it should fit better than the old one because it's a little bit thinner actually. This thing here is thinner than on the ceramic, but you need a different drive shaft because with the adapter the new one is a little bit longer, like 1.5 centimeters. Plus you need a different flange because this one is like this star pattern-ish flange, and on the BMW a three-point pattern. So next step, transmission in the car. Transmission is in. It fits physically, it's a bit smaller than the ceramic transmission. Now doing the bracket like my uncle does the bracket, because I'm not good at this, fabricating stuff. And here will be an adapter from Works. We tried to use the drive shaft of an automatic Mustang from a 2019 GT, but I'm not really sure if the flange fits. Could fit with the adapter, because apparently the automatic drive shaft is an inch shorter, but I didn't find any specific dimensions, it just says an inch shorter, so we will try that. Also, here are the first attempts of connecting the oil lines with AN10 fittings. This is the oil line, and it goes to the stock radiator. We remove all of that, and we will use from MMR Performance like adapters for the cooler for 2 AN fittings. And we already tested the electronics of the TCU, also works. The only issue now, the car only has an MAF sensor, so we need to retrofit an MAP sensor so the controller can like calculate the torque properly. And next status update will be hopefully physically done and starting with the wiring. Wie viel Drehmoment ist das?
Genügend.
Das ja. Ist das wieder das Bauernspiel?
Na, da ist kein Spiel drinnen.
Die sind sicher größer. Nein, viel größer. 18 glaube ich war das.
Nein, bist du deppert.
Ja, bin ich.
Ja, das ist 18.
Sag ja.
Ja, ich würde hinten die schön.
Ach so,
Ja.
das ist 15, ja. Weißt du, was das für ein Drehmoment war?
Richtig. Bis Reif ist Blech.
Ja, streicheln brauchst du die Schrauben jetzt nicht, gell?
Ja, aber trotzdem muss das hintreten. Sonst hält der kleine Ding ja nicht.
Das heißt, du entfädest das zuerst und dann spuckst du es wieder an.
Ja.
Was hat das für einen Sinn?
Ich habe nicht so einen fechten Ausspruch als wie du.
Das stimmt gar nicht. Na, servus. Passgenauigkeit.
Wird immer besser, wie man es öfter da auf der
It's now a couple of months later. The car is physically almost done, at least underneath it's done. The wiring is also mostly done. I had a couple of issues along the line, but I will go through each and one of them. First, the drive shaft. It's the 2019 automatic Mustang drive shaft. It is shorter than the original one for the ceramic, but it was not short enough, like 2 centimeters. So I got it shortened by a company in Austria. They shortened and balanced it. The rear flange is the same, so it fits perfectly. Also, the flange was not the correct one, so I just ordered it off Amazon and like changed it, so it fits with the adapt plate. The bracket is custom fabricated by my uncle, because I wouldn't be able to do that. The rubber itself is original BMW. Domeworks provides it with the flex mount. For my car, the whole kit worked perfectly. It looks almost almost stock. The original oil cooler ports. There's like an adapter from Domeworks that connects it with AN 8 lines. I use steel braided PTFE, I think they're called, lines. They go to the front through here to the original transmission oil cooler. You need adapters for this and this. They're from MMR Performance, but they don't provide these things. You need also these two things to slide it on. They're the same as on the differential oil cooler, these things. I used the original mounting spots for my lines. Also, I used some neoprene rubber to make the hoses not scrub on the gyro. Also, these are metal zip ties so they can hold out the heat from the catalysator. Also, important thing, when you mount the torque converter on the transmission, when it's off, you need to slide it onto the shaft. But the shaft has like three sets of teeth, like stages. The first and second stage are easy to slide onto, but the third stage is super hard to slide onto. Like we needed like 20-30 minutes to do that. But if you don't correctly engage it, the torque converter will stick out too far, and it will not properly fit, and you will damage the oil pump. So you need to make sure you're really at the third stage. Also, the adapter plate, like the starter. Once you engage the gear, the crankshaft moves ever so slightly, so the crankshaft would catch the top surface of the starter motor. So we used like, I don't think you can see it, but there's like, maybe you can see it. There's like a 0.5 millimeter spacer in there, so it will clear the starter. One of the biggest issues I had, I was driving already the car, and like afterwards I got 50 million error messages. I don't know why, like all open circuit, and I was measuring everything, every single cable and every single connection. I redid the whole cabling, but it didn't fix the issue. So the thing I messed up is there's like, when you take out the mechatronics, the sleeve for the cable, for the plug, the ADHP plug, I don't know if you can see it. Maybe here. Barely, I think. Like when the cable sits on the plug itself, the sleeve. I will insert a picture so it's easier to see. I think now you can see it. Here sits the cable on top of the sleeve. And if the sleeve is not properly engaged, if you reassemble the mechatronics like I did, it will back out. And after it backs out, you will get issues with the pins not connecting, and then you get open circuit messages. So in my case, it was just a dump. Like I have a clip where I was wiggling the connector, and then I saw, okay, yeah, I messed this up. Underneath the pan is here like a locking mechanism. You need to pull it down, put the sleeve back in, and lock it properly. And now the issue is all gone. And that's mostly it from underneath the car, I think. Now we'll show you the engine. Now we're in the engine bay. You need 3 kinds of signals from the engine bay, and the brake signal from the fuse box, but it's inside the car. And the first signal is the crankshaft position sensor to get the RPM signal. At first I used coil number 1, but the signal was all kind of wonky and was spazzing out like crazy. After I switched to the crankshaft position sensor, which is connected here to the, I think that's the ECU. Afterwards it was fine. The second signal you need is the throttle position sensor. That sits here. This is the throttle actuator. And there are 2 kinds of signals. You need to use, I think, TP2 it was in the wiring. I'm not sure, but if you have any questions, I can look it up. The third kind of signal you need is the MRP signal. And since the car only has here the MRF sensor and no MRP signal, since it's naturally aspirated, I use a third-party one that sits here from Haltech. And for the vacuum, I use the brake vacuum for the brake booster, and everything works fine, no issues. At first, for the vacuum, I used, I think, one of these lines that goes directly into the intake, but I think there's like a valve that prevents it from releasing the pressure again, so it was also not useful. So I now use the brake booster, and that was it from the front. The only thing I still need to do is here's the clutch slave cylinder. It's now in the engine bay, since without it, it will just spill the brake fluid. And the next step I'm showing you is the wiring inside the car. This is how it looks like inside the car. Here sits the turbolamik controller, just screwed into the carpet, because I didn't want to screw it through the steel. And underneath the screws are like, it's the same rubber that I used for the hoses, so there's no sound when it's like flapping around, but it's secure enough. All the cables are routed through underneath the carpet and to the fuse box through the door sill to the fuse box. You need 2 grounds, like you can combine it to 1 ground, but I use 2 for the TCU, and 1 switched and 1 constant 12 volt output. I can show you on the picture that I will insert now. Which one I used, and all the other cables go to the transmission underneath here and here. Wait, underneath the BMW shifter, which I'm gonna change out to another shifter design so it will fit, because the transmission tunnel is a bit too high. This plate I printed myself in PR carbon fiber. So it's sealed. I also use like a sealer to make it seal, and there's like a hole for 2 cables. One of the cables is the ZF plug, and another is for the output shaft speed sensor and the reverse sensor that the Tramic had. So the reverse goes on the backup camera, and that's pretty much it from the wiring. There's not a lot of wiring to do. It's pretty much straightforward. Here I used for the output shaft sensor and for the reverse like 2 fuses. Here would be the airbag for the seat that's currently missing. And that's pretty much it. If you have any questions whatsoever, like how to do the wiring and stuff, you can just ask me. And or if you like need any dimensions for the drive shaft length or something like this, feel free to ask. If anyone is crazy enough to do that to their car. But everything works. The car was already driving. And next step is the shift integration, because instead of the BMW shifter, I'm gonna use like the BMW, like not BMW, but like a CAN keyboard. They're just like buttons, like drive, reverse, and neutral. Because here there's not a lot of space. The shifter sits too high with the original center console, so I cannot use it because this thing is just huge. And I will also integrate the display into the same plate. After the shifter, I need to do the clutch pedal, because I still need to disconnect the slave cylinder, like seal it or something, so the brake fluid won't leak out. And I still want to use the clutch pedal, so I'm just gonna put like a spring or something in there, so the clutch still works. But this is the only 2 things that need to be done, like the shifter and the clutch pedal. And then the car is pretty much finished.